Welcome everyone back to Weekly Weather Updates, and this evening we'll have a look at the latest from the GFS, the GEM, the ECMWF, the GFS Ensembles, and we'll finish up having a look at the UKMO Run as well. Now, again, today we're seeing some very interesting patterns come up in the models. It is looking like we're going to be seeing a lot of northern blocking around over the coming weeks, which in turn is going to potentially bring some stormy weather, not only to the north, but potentially the south, as you'll see with this latest GFS run. And again, it's encouraging signs for winter, as some of these patterns we could be seeing over the coming weeks would be giving some very heavy snow in a few months' time, and some very bitterly cold conditions. So we'll have to keep an eye on if these patterns do recur over the coming weeks and months. But it definitely is an interesting few days with the latest models. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and do remember to follow on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. So if we do go through the latest GFS, you can see at the moment it's pretty much westerly winds. We do have high pressure in the south, which is meant, especially England, Wales and parts of the Republic of Ireland, have been pretty decent over the coming days. It will continue with temperatures in and around 20, 21, maybe 22 degrees. However, further north, weather fronts will be moving in, and we're going to see bouts of heavier rain trying to push in from the west. As ever, with this sort of pattern, these weather fronts do fizzle out as they spread southeastwards. However, it does look like by early next week they will break through, and you can see the massive northern blocking we have to our north. Jet stream getting sort of obliterated, really going all different ways. And we see this cut-off low develop, a really deep cut-off low, around 990 millibars. Very stormy weather potentially in the south. And yeah, could be seeing potentially even a named storm with this, considering this does look like it could just sit over the UK for eventually moving away back out to the west against the zonal flow, which is pretty typical of a real big blocks pattern. You can see to our north a lot of yellow indicating high pressure, and then yet another very blocked run, and even towards the end of the run we're pulling in southeasterly winds with low pressure just sitting out in the Atlantic, really not going anywhere. Eventually we do see this ex-hurricane or ex-tropical system trying to push in, but once again doesn't do a lot, and we maintain this blocking to our north, which is going to mean temperatures aren't going to be particularly warm, not going to be particularly cold either, as we're not getting a direct northerly at any point. But it's going to be remaining unsettled with very slow moving weather systems, which could give disruptive amounts of rain and strong winds at times if we do see a cut-off low develop like that. Now, if we do have a look at the GM, see how that does compare with, it has a similar pattern over the next 10 days. Because once again, we've got weather fronts trying to push in over the coming days, pushing through pretty much by sort of Monday, Tuesday next week. And then again, we see these cut-off lows, slightly different orientation, but still with this big high pressure up towards Scandinavia, up towards Greenland. We are pulling in a bit of a northwesterly wind, but it's going to be a chilly northwesterly wind. Polar maritime air mass coming in off the Atlantic. Not feeling particularly warm at all, if not feeling really quite chilly and autumnal. With this big blocking pattern, again, interesting to see what's going to be happening with this, as it could be bringing a lot of wet and windy weather even to the south, whereas typically this time of year, like we've had recently, it's been confined further northwards, so it's hanging on to a bit of summer in the south. It does look like we could be seeing autumn for all, and if we do see this pattern continue throughout November, or through October into November, then we could start to be seeing something colder start to get dragged in from the north or the east. But again, we are looking quite far in the future, and we've just got to keep an eye on if these patterns do continue. So if we do have a look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare to the other two models, you can see, again, weather fronts pushing through, and then we get a bit of a cut-off low developing. Now, this is a bit further westwards than the other models, so it would be bringing in a bit of a southwesterly wind, so it wouldn't be particularly chilly at all. However, with a lot of cloud, rain around, it's probably not going to be mild either. It's going to be reasonably warm upper air conditions, but towards the surface it will be pretty chilly, and right towards the end of the run, the low eventually does try to clear out into the North Sea, and we are starting to put back in a polar maritime air mass, and if we did run that on another couple of days, we would probably be seeing some much cooler conditions taking control. So you can see all three models do have this block sort of pattern, potentially getting this really deep low pressure system sat over the top of the UK, and could be seeing something really interesting happening over the coming week or two with very stormy and sort of sustained stormy conditions. And we'll have to keep an eye on what happens with this. If we did see something like the GFS, or we did see that low sit over central southern England, I would not be surprised if we saw various weather warnings, if not being a named storm, considering how deep it is, how strong its wind speeds will be, and how sort of stagnant it is, meaning rain and wind is going to be relentless for sort of 24 hours plus if we did see something like that. Whereas typically with an autumnal storm, it moves through quite quickly, but that's not what we're seeing with this Brock pattern. So it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. So if we do have a look at the GFS ensembles, if we do first have a look at London, you can see over the next sort of 2 weeks, temperatures are going to be a little bit, sort of split in half. The next sort of 5 days, temperatures are going to be above average, a good 3-4 degrees above average, holding on to a bit of summery weather in the south. However, we see a big tumble of temperatures early next working week as those weather fronts push in from the northwest and bringing down much cooler temperatures down to around 2 or 3 degrees at 850 HPA, if not going colder than that, and unsettled conditions do return. Not guaranteed to be having really unsettled conditions, as again does depend on sort of the individual ensemble run, which does vary in placement of lows, how stagnant it is, but at this stage it does look relatively unsettled and relatively cool as well. If we do have a look at the sea level pressure, you can see that operational run is very low pressure. Not as low pressure as some of the other runs. There are other runs that are supporting it, but there is still a lot of variation. So it's not guaranteed we're seeing a pattern like that, but it could be something we do see over the coming weeks, and it's something we have to keep an eye on. If we do go up to Glasgow, see how this does compare to the north of the country, you can see generally a little bit up and down, typical of a zonal westerly sort of flow, and I do expect it to be variable temperatures, variable air masses, but with that, there's going to be a lot of low pressure and a lot of rain. And if we do have a look at the 850 HPA temperature and precipitation, you can see pretty much most ensemble members have rain at least sort of most of the next 14 days. With temperatures once again being a bit split half and half, with warmer temperatures at the moment and a few showers, of course, as those weather fronts try to push in before they do finally push in with massive rainfall spikes and a very stark drop in temperature, and then we maintain cooler than average, maybe getting up towards average towards the end of the run. So you can see very unsettled in the north, and that unsettled conditions was likely to spread to the south as we head into next week. So if we do finally have a look at the UKMO run, just see what we're going to see over the next 5 days or so. You can see we do have weather fronts pushing in. As I said, they really do sort of fizzle away as they spread to further southeast. And you can see most of this rain doesn't really get further south than sort of northern England, maybe heading into a bit of Wales, whereas Scotland does see quite a lot of rain, if not Northern Ireland as well. As we head through to Friday, you see more rain pushing in, and then potentially through the weekend, as low pressure starts to come in, we do see maybe a few showers in the south before the main weather front pushes through Monday, early morning into the afternoon, and that's where we will be seeing some very heavy rain for all, and the change from the warmer air mass we have at the moment to the much cooler air mass. And being an active cold front, I wouldn't be surprised if there is a squall line along this, and that's something we will keep an eye on over the coming days. See if that does come out in the models, and that could bring some more intense conditions throughout probably Monday morning if we do see that squall line feature develop. If we do have a look at the 1.5 metre max temperatures, you can see today temperatures got up to around 20-21 degrees in many parts of England, which is pretty decent. Elsewhere to the north, a little bit chillier, but we do have that the weather fronts and cooler air mass trying to push in. By Thursday afternoon, we could be seeing temperatures potentially get to around 21, maybe 22 degrees, feeling relatively decent, but again, much cooler in the north. By Friday afternoon, once again, maybe 21, 22 degrees in England, Wales, if not getting towards Ireland as well, but over Scotland, a little bit chillier. And by Saturday, once again, good few days come up, 20, 21, 22 degrees. But by Sunday, you can start to see the warm front, or the warm sector moving in ahead of the approaching low. You can see widely temperatures getting to around 20 degrees, but you can see the very cold air that's starting to come in behind. So by 3 a.m. on Monday, areas in England are around 16, 17, maybe 18 degrees, whereas Republic of Ireland getting down to 7 or 8 degrees. Just shows you the contrast in air masses starting to push through. And that's something we'll have a look at, and of course, if there is a squall line developing. So do remember to go out and enjoy the warm weather we do have over the coming days, especially if you're in England. It might not be great in Scotland, but especially for England, Wales, Ireland, Northern Ireland, there is going to be some decent weather over the next few days towards the weekend before it does start to go downhill from there. And it does look like we're going to be seeing some proper, and I mean proper, autumnal weather come next week and beyond, as it does look like we're going to see some northern blocking, pushing jet stream further southwards, which is going to bring lower pressure pretty much for all. And it will be quite unsettled. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.